What's up everybody, it's Snugs here and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be going over how to do the Astra Malorum Easter egg. So to kick it off here, you're going to want to find the two harmonic oculus components for the Pack-a-Punch. The first one spawns in the Juggernaut room right here next to a dead body, and the second one is going to be in the Stamina Up room, also next to a dead body. Now these two parts can be randomized, but they're anywhere in those two rooms. You just got to kind of look around. After getting both of those, you're going to take them over to the piano in the observatory and add them on. It shouldn't take too long to craft them on, and then now you're going to have to do a lockdown to get the Pack-a-Punch into the map. It's not a very difficult lockdown, just as long as you have a good weapon, maybe not the Jaeger. If you're playing Cursed, like grab a different weapon, but other than that, it's a fairly simple lockdown. I mean, you got to get Pack-a-Punch somehow, so you just kind of sit here for a couple seconds, and then eventually once you have turned the Pack-a-Punch on, I would recommend Pack-a-Punching one of your guns because you're going to need it to be able to build the Wonder Weapon. So once you have a gun Pack-a-Punch, now you're going to want to head on over to this area of the map because Oscar will have spawned at the crash site. So just head down these stairs, and while you're seeing Oscar, make sure you go ahead and shoot old Tessie. I think you have to shoot the gear stick, but I think you might be able just to shoot anything else on there. And then once you see Oscar, make sure to shoot down his drone for another part. These are the first two parts for the Wonder Weapon. And then the third part is actually going to spawn on any of these lampposts. You can see this is the flickering one. And once you shoot it with the Pack-a-Punched weapon, it'll drop the aberrant wiring. So these are three of the four pieces that we need. The fourth one we're actually going to have to wait off on because I need salvage. So what you can do in the meantime is with that Oscar that you already have spawned into the map, come into the lunarium, place the battery inside of this trap here, and then you just kind of wait for Oscar to make his way over here, or you can kite him over, which is what I did, and then activate the trap, and this is going to start a mini lockdown of overcharging Oscar's battery. Not really a whole lot to do here. You don't need to shoot Oscar or anything. You just need to keep him in this room. You can see the little progress bar in the top keeps going, and you're basically just waiting for that progress bar to fill up. And once it does, it will insta-kill Oscar just like it did there. And that is step 1 of 3 done for the Wonder Weapon. Now you're going to make your way over once you have 500 salvage to put Cryo Freeze onto your gun, and you're going to want to look for these little purple crystals that are scattered across the map. You might remember them from the Cold War maps, but shooting them with Cryo Freeze will drop an absolute 0 shard fragment, and you're going to end up needing 3 of these for the next step. So just kind of run around, look in these outside areas for the absolute 0 fragments. So once you've gotten all 3 absolute 0 shards, another thing I would recommend doing is while you're in the rocket trap room, grab this hacksaw out of the case right here. You just shoot the glass off and then you can pick it up. But make your way over to this little rocket. It's normally not a trap, I guess, but once you have all 3 of these shards, you can make it into a trap to insta-kill Oscar, and that's our goal here. So you're just going to circle him around behind this, try to keep him in front of the little white bit right there, because he can walk out of it and survive. So I usually just end up tanking a lot of damage just to get it to work, but as you can see there, it insta-kills him, and then that's the second. So for the next trap kill, you're going to want to make your way to the observatory, and you're going to look around for these little valves on the wall that are shooting steam, and then you're going to shoot them. There's quite a few locations that they spawn, but they're all within the observatory. So just run around, you can listen and actually hear the steam coming off, which might make it a little bit easier. So you can see here, I'm kind of not knowing where any of them are because, I don't know, just couldn't hear them. So all you got to do is just run around this room, shoot all of them. There's about, I think there's 5 that spawn in total to unlock this trap. But once you shoot all 5, which I should in a moment here, and there we go. Once you shoot all 5, now you're going to be able to go onto this telescope in the middle that is attached to a piano for some reason, and you're going to want to find the sun. I would just leave it off to the side, but then once you get another Oscar, hover over that sun and it'll bring down this giant sunbeam, and then just keep him in the middle of that, just run him back and forth once or twice, and he should die, and if you've done all the other traps, you will get the LG1. You can do any of these traps in any order, it doesn't matter. Just do whichever one you can do first in your game, but that is how you get the Wonder Weapon, and that is the first step for the Easter egg. So So after acquiring the wonder weapon, you're going to want to follow Oscar around and wait for him to say playback of Elimination 20. And this will be Dr. Thurston's like death log or something, I'm not really sure. He can say this whenever, but he will go through quite a few different elimination tapes. And then as he says his elimination tapes, it will actually give you 3 planets, and those planets correspond to 3 numbers. It's the order of the planets from the sun. If you don't know them, just look it up, what the order of the planets are from the sun. And that's going to lower down this elevator here. And you see I actually missed the jump because I'm not very good at this. And that'll give you the cryo chamber key. So with this key, you're going to make your way over to this little area with the cryopod, and then using the key and the hacksaw, you're actually going to rip out Dr. Thurston's brain, which was a very interesting step to discover, I gotta say. I didn't really think we'd be performing a lobotomy. But with that brain, you're going to bring it over to the monkey brain located in the Pack-a-Punch room, or the Juggernaut room, sorry, and that will start a little lockdown while you swap the brains. Not really sure what happens to the monkey brain, but, rest in peace to that monkey. All you gotta do during this lockdown is just defend it, much like the Pack-a-Punch. It's not a very difficult one either, especially in solos. You can see there's like barely anything spawning. So just kind of run around. If you have the wonder weapon, spam it. That's what I'm doing. Even though the wonder weapon's not very good in the higher rounds, it still does pretty good damage while you're just doing the Easter egg. So once you finish the lockdown, you'll be able to pick up Dr. Thurston's brain again, and then you're going to want to take it all the way over back to the stamina up room, craft it on, and it will light up the screen next to it, and it will give you a reading list order. And this reading list order is going to correspond with the bookshelves in the room over, the library. And you're going to want to take whichever ones you have here and look for them on the shelves, and that will tell you how many times to turn each stone head. So for instance, in this game, my code ended up being 112 because there were only 4 books, and this one that I'm turning right now is the one that had 2 books next to it on that bookshelf. So once you match those up, you can go ahead and grab the planet Neptune, and there's going to be a bar hanging off of the giant display of planets above you. So once you take Neptune all the way up here, you can just place it onto the display. So the next step is going to be to go back to the observatory and look at Mars through the telescope, and at the bottom of the screen it will give you your code, so mine was 5705. Once you put it in, Thurston will say a quote and it'll turn blue, so that's how you know you did it right. Next you're going to look around the map for these 3 pieces of paper. The first one's in the same room as the giant compass. It tells me that Neptune needs to be southwest, so I'm going to go back up to where Neptune is and shoot it until it is southwest on the giant compass that's around the sun. As you can see here, I find Neptune and I'm just kind of shooting it to the side. They don't line up perfectly whenever you shoot them, and this can cause you to kind of miss it a little bit. You can see I'm just checking to make sure I did it right. And then the second piece of paper here is going to be downstairs in the library. It says Saturn needs to be northwest, so then I'm going to head back in here, find Saturn, and shoot it over into the northwest position as well. The last one is in the laser trap room, and it tells me Mars needs to be northeast. So then I'm going to head back once again and shoot that last one into position. I don't actually have the footage of me shooting Mars because I messed up Neptune, so I'm just fixing it. But once you're done with that, you're going to press F on the machine there with the brain, and that will start a lockdown one more time with Oscar. And this one's a little bit different because Oscar's actually just going to shoot little drones that go towards the portal, and your goal is to shoot them before they hit the portal in the middle. Not the drones that are keeping his shield up, but you'll actually be able to tell that these ones are like going straight for the portal, so don't worry too much about his other drones, just try to hit the ones that are going towards the portal. And you can allow him to hit it a couple times. You can see there I took a little bit of damage from it. You get 2 minutes to do this, so it's not too difficult. The best strategy I found is to try to get him more up on this little circle part here, and then you'll have a lot more distance to be able to shoot the drones before they get there. But once this is done, we get probably one of the coolest things we've ever seen in an Easter egg. We get teleported to freaking Mars, which is not something that I was expecting in this Easter egg, and kind of blew our minds the first time we made it there. But at this point, you're almost done with most of the Easter egg. All you gotta do is go over to Mars at this point and wait for Dr. Thurston's brain to drop out of the sky. So you can see here, we take in a little bit of Mars. I'm waiting, and Thurston's brain falls out of the sky. So once you pick up Thurston's brain, you once again can't sprint, but luckily we don't have far to go. We're just going to take him up to this little machine up here. Not too sure what it's called, but you're going to place it down and then make sure to craft it on once again. Now what you're going to want to do is interact with that and it will play sound. And once that sound plays, you're going to run all the way to this back window back here and look out and you'll see 4 Tesla coils. I actually shoot the wrong one first. You're going to want to shoot them in the order that I show now, with the right, the back left, the front right, and the front left. And then you're going to turn around and shoot the one that is above the middle part there. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring a golden eyeball scarab thing into the map, and you're going to want to wait until he's kind of close to the ground. I'd recommend waiting for low grav, and then once he's close to the ground, you should be able to just run over him and jump and press F. Make sure you spam it to pick him up, and then place him in this little pillar here, this little Tesla pillar. I'm not entirely sure what it is. But now you're in the home stretch of the Easter egg. We just need to go back home one more time to the observatory. And then on this piano, it will give you a list of symbols. And one of these symbols will be blank, which will be that little static that you see. So just remember that whichever one is blank is the one that you don't see in the order. So just slot that one in for the order. Now, you don't actually have to shoot these pillars in order, I don't think, because I did not shoot them in the right order here. But just make sure you shoot all 5 of these pillars with the wonder weapon to turn them on. And then you're going to have to interact with them in the order that you saw. So do make sure that you remember the order, but you don't have to shoot the wonder weapon in the order that you see them. You can see in my game it took me a couple rounds because I looked at the order in the middle of it instead of waiting for it to fully cycle. So make sure that you do see your order fully cycle from the beginning to the end. That way you don't have to brute force it like I was doing here. But just go around, hit the symbols in the order that they appeared on the organ, and then once you've done that, you are officially boss fight ready. So for this boss fight in solo, I would recommend that you have perma quick revive if nothing else. I didn't have it here as it's not exactly needed and I was just kind of trying to get it done, but I would recommend at the very least perma quick revive so that you can have as many downs as you have dying wishes left, and then also make sure you have a triple packed LG1. Another thing that would be really useful is Frenzied Guard, as this right now is completely broken, and I'll show you once we get into the second phase why it's broken. But for the first phase here, you're just going to kind of run around, shoot some zombies, and that'll charge up this Tesla tower. So just keep on shooting. There might be some shock mimics that spawn, and later on you'll have some toxic zombies. But none of these are too deadly. I mean, the boss in phase 1 is pretty chill. He just shoots a laser beam down, and sometimes he will give you the odd fireball or so. But as long as you just keep moving, you're not really in any danger in this phase. Know that you've done it right when your screen flashes white, and then you're going to want to run up to the machine and hold F to craft it once again. If you get laser beam, don't worry about it. It's not too big of a deal. He won't actually kill you as long as you craft it quick enough, and that's going to cause a scripted amount of damage for this first phase. So you got to repeat this 3 different times. The second time you do it, it will be this other Tesla coil on the other side. And once again, you're going to do the same thing, just kind of running around, shooting zombies. Their souls will fly into it, your screen will flash white, and then you run back up to the machine and then craft it back on. Not really sure why you have to craft it. I guess it's just a way to like make it harder, but doesn't really do anything. Like I said, you don't die from any of his attacks from crafting it on because he stops attacking once he gets hit. But then you're just going to want to fill up both of them now, and as far as I can tell, they just kind of fill up at the same rate. You don't have to be closer to one or the other to make sure the souls go in. I was just kind of jumping around with the low grav here, shooting whatever I could see. And then once you get both of these charged up, that will be the end of phase 1. Once you get that white flash, run back up. You can see that is his acid spit attack that I only had happen just here. If that attack happens, just stay at the top where the acid's not. But then once you do that, the skull will be destroyed and he will fall down. And now you will begin pretty much the real boss fight, I would say. And then in his first phase, which is just Caltheris, you're going to have to just shoot him with the wonder weapon, pretty much. It's the best strategy. The wonder weapon has infinite ammo, so that's why it's so good in here, so you don't run out. You can see here, I used the Frenzied Guard, and with the stock option, kind of like Augment, it allows you just to spam an infinite amount of UFOs. So this is why I recommended Frenzy Guard, because right now it's completely broken, and phase 1 goes down almost instantly. I'm not really entirely sure how to replicate this, because you'll see in the footage that I do try it again with phase 3 here, and I don't actually get it to work, but I do get it to work in phase 4. So I'm not really sure how it works, but if you want to have the most chances to use Frenzied Guard, I would recommend just not using your field upgrade the whole game, and then just waiting until you get in here, because then you're going to be able to charge it up a hell of a lot faster than if you've been spamming Frenzied Guard your whole game. At least that's what I did, and as you can see, I already have half of it back at this point. But even without Frenzied Guard, and assuming that they patch it, this boss isn't too difficult, especially in solo when you can actually see what's going on. Whenever he slams his hands down like that, that's going to be a shockwave AoE, so make sure that you jump whenever you see his hands come down. And then I believe his only other attack in this phase is just to throw a rock at you, so as long as you dodge the rock, you'll be fine. It's more a battle of just staying alive and managing your armor, so I would recommend bringing some extra points into this fight in case you need armor, because there is luckily an armor wall buy in this arena. However, it's going to be 10k each time to refill your armor, so I don't know, maybe make sure you have like around 50k if you're using the wonder weapon, and if you don't have the wonder weapon, you're also going to need to be buying ammo, because especially in co-op, this guy is a tank. In solo, he goes down fairly quickly, but in co-op, I remember when we did it, we had a lot of trouble just getting him down any health towards the end. So here we are at the end of phase 3. It took a while because I wasn't able to get the Frenzied Guard trick to work. At this point, I was just kind of saving it in case I got trapped like this, and you can see once again, I just can't get it to work, so I'm not really sure how you do it exactly, but it does work when you get it to go off, so I would definitely recommend trying it at the very least. But once phase 3 is over, you kind of get to the hardest part of the boss, phase 4, and this is where he becomes Caltheris the Needle, or I guess I should say she, because this is actually a woman apparently, but all you're going to want to do in this phase is the exact same thing you've been kind of doing, which is run around and shoot the wonder weapon at him. The wonder weapon can be kind of annoying with its targeting because it'll kind of target the zombies instead of him, but just make sure that you get it on him as close as you can. Also make sure to pick up Vaetharion's Blessing right there. I'm not entirely sure what it does. I think it just starts him being able to take damage. But once you pick up Vaetharion's Blessing, he should get rid of the immunity, and then just run around, shoot at him once again. And the only thing that's really different about this phase is he's going to throw these giant rocks that have explosion damage tied to them. And I've seen online that Environmentalist is actually really good for PhD here. So if you do have that augment equipped, I'd recommend throwing it on just so that you don't take too much damage from these rocks. I didn't have it on, and you can see they absolutely shred your armor and health. They are very deadly, so just try to stay away from them is the best advice I can give, because there's not really a whole lot to do here. I'd recommend using the low gravity to your advantage, especially with all the wall jumps that you can hit. And that should be enough to just keep you out of his way. Just make sure you're managing your armor decently well. Try not to get hit as much, and if you do need to, there should be plenty of zombies to get armor from, plenty of armored zombies. But if you don't have any extra armor plates, there is the armor buy right there that I was talking about earlier. And you're just going to keep circling around him, keep using that low grav to just bounce away. Even if he gets you stuck in a corner, like I believe is going to happen here, you're not going to die because he's not the strongest. You can see he just kind of whacks me a couple times, sends me flying up into the stratosphere, and then kind of goes dumb and throws a rock. So if you get trapped in the corner, it's not the end of the world. I think here's actually where I got my Frenzy Guard to work on phase 4, and you can see it absolutely eats him even in this phase. It is just insane. But really, that's about all there is to this boss fight. This Easter egg is probably a lot easier for most people to complete than Ashes of the Damned. I didn't make an Ashes of the Damned Easter egg guide, but if that's something you guys would be interested in, I definitely can. But I will be having a round 100 boss fight guide for that map coming out very soon. And then as well as I'll probably be doing a round 100 boss fight guide for this map, where we go into a little bit more detail about the fight, because I realize I'm kind of cutting around. But to be honest, there's not really much to do. You just kind of jump around, shoot him with the wonder weapon, the UFOs will circle him, and then eventually, as you can see, he does go down. But that's it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what other stuff you'd like to see. I know I'm supposed to go back to Fortnite at some point and upload some of that because Chapter 7 came out, so maybe I'll do a video on that. But that's it. See ya.